You see this? That classic red and blue suit against the dull city background, swinging between buildings with satisfying ease, probably heading toward the next heart-wrenching story beat. It's awesome, it's graceful, and it's so much fun to play. This is what perfection looks like, and only Spider-Man has ever been able to achieve it. So what's the secret ingredient for a truly great superhero video game? Gameplay mechanics that make us feel all-powerful. Stunning graphics fit for a blockbuster movie? A comic-worthy story? Really, it's a mix of all these things and more, which is why when it comes to superheroes in video games, Spider-Man is the greatest superhero of them all. But before we get into the spidery details, make sure you like this video and subscribe to Nerdstalgic Gaming for more content just like this. Superheroes started their video game journey with this beautiful mess of a Superman game for the Atari 2600 in 1979. Spider-Man first showed up on the scene in 1982 as the first ever video game with licensed Marvel characters. Since then, there have been some hits and plenty of misses in the superhero gaming sphere. But we're not here to talk about trash. We're here to talk about Spider-Man. He has the best good to bad game ratio out there and some of the greatest superhero video games of all time under his belt.
Your toys are so much cooler than mine!
Really, even most of the bad games are remembered fondly by some corner of the fandom, so how exactly did Spider-Man crack the code of video games? Well, we mentioned a couple things off the top of this video, right? Awesome gameplay mechanics, stunning graphics, and a comic-worthy story. Let's talk about them. First and foremost, there's the mechanics. When it gets down to it, the real key of a great superhero game is understanding the essence of that superhero. Once you understand that, you've got to be able to translate it into an enjoyable play experience. So, for example, Hulk smash, Batman detects,
send the data from my analysis too.
Star-Lord quips,
Oh, is that a dagger? What do you got, a throwing star there?
and Spider-Man thwips. The coolest part of Spider-Man as a superhero is his web-swinging abilities, and video game developers have always understood that. Even in Spider-Man's 1982 video game debut, Peter Parker's web-swinging was the star gameplay mechanic on display. They really got web-swinging down to a science in 2004's Spider-Man 2, and only improved upon the formula from there. Being able to thwip and release and really feel the momentum of your swing keeps the experience fun and intuitive. Sticking to buildings instead of crashing into them or skating off the side also really helps to make it feel like you're parkouring through New York, even when you make a mistake. Sure, there was a brief moment in time of the 90s where every game was a side-scrolling beat-em-up, and Spider-Man couldn't escape that craze. But even those games had cool web-based moves. And you want to talk about combat, well, Spider-Man's fast-paced blows and spidery stealth lend themselves beautifully to that combo-based fighting style most successful superhero games tend to gravitate to. And we get that trademark Spider-Man personality while he does it.
So your plan didn't work. On to plan B, getting kicked in the face.
There's a satisfaction to landing a good combo and boldly sending a guy flying off a roof with a swing kick, or leaving a room full of cocoons in your wake as you sneak away undetected.
You're so cute when they're oblivious.
Not every superhero can do stealth and in-your-face styles believably, but Spider-Man can. I mean, imagine watching Superman silently crawl up to a guy and do a stealth takedown. It just wouldn't work. You see, only Spider-Man can really pull this all off, and it's been obvious to game developers from the beginning. Looking back at that 1982 game, you've got the webs, he's scaling buildings, and you've got the vague impression of a costume. Yeah, games weren't the prettiest back then, but once again, Spidey has a leg up on the competition when it comes to game graphics.
New suit, same old me.
Steve Ditko's Spider-Man costume design has always been an inarguably iconic look. The way that classic red and blue suit stands out against the dull gray of New York doesn't just look great in the comics, it also works super well for game design. In a medium where you're in control of a character that jumps around the screen at high speeds, you want the player's eye to always be able to find the thing they're controlling. Even the worst Spider-Man games out there have this working to their advantage. Take 1996's Sinister Six, for example. I don't know why anyone would want a badly animated point-and-click Spider-Man adventure, but even this train wreck couldn't ruin Spidey's look. Bright colors stand out better than dark ones, especially when set up against cityscapes like Spider-Man games always are. And unlike some other superheroes, Spider-Man has had a ton of costume variations over the years, and the more recent games have had a great time playing with those alternate looks, which adds a lot more than just, say, another shade of black. Not to mention that skyscraper exteriors can be a comparably quick and easy asset to drop onto a map. And for a hero like Spider-Man, who exists mainly in a single city, there's a lot less pressure to create diverse environments, especially in the earlier games, which meant more care and computing power could go into other aspects of the games. And while we're talking about the other aspects of the games, let's chat about the comic-worthy story. In all honesty, a lot of pre-2010 Spider-Man games were lacking in the story department. It was a lot of saving MJ or beating up Green Goblin, because, hey, what else do you do? It's Spider-Man. And there's no getting around the fact that the Batman Arkham series may just be the best superhero narrative around. But that's a 4-game series with DLC and multiple offshoots. We don't get a tiresome origin story in 2018 Spider-Man. This Peter Parker has been up at it for 8 years by the time we meet him, and it shows. He's the smart aleck we've come to expect from Spider-Man as a character.
Finally off to Rikers, huh? You know, I think you've got more enemies in there than I do.
And he's backed by franchise friends Mary Jane and Miles Morales. We get an action-packed narrative with a heartbreaker of an ending, and the whole thing is filled with beloved villains. Plus, with the emphasis on Peter and Miles' budding friendship, we get a great introduction to who would become the principal protagonist of the second game. And switching protagonists for the sequel was a brilliant but risky move. It's not easy to make players warm up to new characters, but the developers over at Insomniac knew what they were doing. While playing as Miles Morales, we get glimpses of the adorable student-teacher relationship he has with the last game's Peter Parker, and get that new Spider-Man feel without having to go through the basics that come with a normal origin story. The story we do get is even better than the first games. We deal with the complicated feelings we can have for our family, the blurred lines between right and wrong, and that old Spider-Man classic, the burden of responsibility. These are all very human problems, and they are problems Spider-Man has always excelled at showing in nuanced ways.
Work-life balance, kid. Most important thing.
Plus, we get even more characters to grow fond of. Haley deserves more attention, by the way. Tragically underrated. And with characters like her in the mix, things can only get better. All in all, there have been plenty of good superhero games, even great ones. But no other superhero in video game history has hit harder and has shown more promise for the future than our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. Before we leave, let me ask you, what superhero do you think has the best video games? Leave your answer in the comments below and make sure to subscribe to Nerdstalgic Gaming.